Animal giants have always fascinated people. Amazing properties were attributed to these gigantic magical animals, and a mystical genealogy grew up around them. Many became heroes of myth and legend. Imagination came to the rescue when reality would not suffice. Dragons, the giant bird known as the Roc, tremendous whales that carried cities on their backs, the Ouroboros snakes, turtles and elephants on which the world rests, all are still alive in fairy tales and legends. But what about in reality? Our geological past on this planet is rich in very real giants. They are somewhat inferior in mass to our contemporary, the blue whale, which weighs up to 150 tons and is considered to be the heaviest of all the creatures ever fashioned by evolution. But in terms of size, many extinct species were superior. Of course, dinosaurs are the first thing we remember when we talk about giant animals of the past. But there were more than enough giants besides these huge reptilians. Natural selection has led to the appearance of huge insects, amphibians, mammals, and other reptiles. Some of them became ancestors of modern species, others completely died out, and therefore appear especially unusual to us now. We will talk about a dozen such leviathans that once roamed the earth. Meganeura. Meganeura is a giant insect that is related to modern-day dragonflies, but differs in several features of the structure of its body. Its wingspan reached 2.1 feet, about 65 centimeters. Such creatures rose into the skies of our planet 300 million years ago. For the first time, gigantism among arthropods was associated with the changes in the gas composition of the atmosphere, precisely after the discovery of the remains of the Meganeura in 1880 in France. What happened was, 400 million years before our time, plants learned how to produce a new, strong polymer called lignin, which allowed trees to grow tens of meters high and not break in the wind. But when the plant died and fell to the ground, no microbe, fungus, or natural oxidizer could decompose the wood and return its constituent parts to the natural cycle of substances. Untouched wood accumulated in marshy soil, gradually turning into coal. Due to photosynthesis, carbon began disappearing from the ecosystem, and more oxygen entered the atmosphere. Arthropods and other creatures, whose size was limited by their ability to deliver oxygen to their internal organs, very soon turned into real giants. Insects showed this tendency very clearly. In addition, the new composition of the atmosphere influenced flight characteristics as well, altering aerodynamics. The oxygen content in the air was at least 35% in the Carboniferous period, 359 to 299 million years ago. This is probably what allowed Meganeura and others to reach such a tremendous size, but also caused their deaths when the oxygen content later decreased. Arthropleura. A centipede or a millipede can cause unpleasant feelings for many people, even when they are small enough to fit in the palm of your hand. Now imagine one more than 2.5 meters or 100 inches long and with a width of half a meter. Such creatures, the Arthropleura, were found on our planet between 340 and 280 million years ago. An entire specimen has not yet been recovered. Fragments of up to 35 inches, almost a meter long, have been found in Germany, and footprints in Scotland, the USA, and Canada. It's assumed that the huge body was divided into 36 segments, covered with plates from above and along the sides. It probably fed on fallen leaves and other decaying plant remains. According to scientists, an Arthropleura of medium size could eat about 1 ton of vegetation a year. It likely loved ferns, as researchers have found the undigested spores of this plant in its digestive tract. There is also an assumption that though small individuals were vegetarians, large individuals may have alternated plant food with the hunting and eating of small animals. The extinction of the Arthropleura is associated with a decrease in the percentage of oxygen in the atmosphere at the beginning of the Permian period, as by this time the evolution of fungi and microbes finally allowed them to process lignin, and the composition of the atmosphere changed once again, affecting the Earth's climate and all of its fauna. Sarcosuchus imperiale. Crocodiles even now reach impressive sizes. There are known specimens up to 136 inches or 3.5 meters long and weighing up to 2 tons. But this prehistoric predator, Sarcosuchus imperiale, floating in the rivers of the northern part of tropical Africa 110 million years ago, reached 472 inches, that's 12 meters in length, and weighed an astounding 8 tons. Paleontologists discovered a petrified jaw of one of these beasts in Niger in 1997, the length of which was equal to the height of a man. It is very likely that he ate not only fish, but also small dinosaurs. A huge, very durable skull, more than 39 inches or about a meter in length, and an incredibly strong outer shell protected Sarcosuchus from predatory dinosaurs. At the end of the upper jaw, there was a semicircular outgrowth that acted like a hook. Outwardly, this monster probably resembled the modern Ghanaian gavial, which is found in India and Nepal. But in the modern world, there are no direct descendants of the Sarcosuchus imperiale. It belongs to a completely extinct family of reptiles. Interestingly, at that time, the relatives of modern alligators reached 10 meters in length. It's likely that such heavy and unwieldy animals didn't live on land, but water, supporting their weight, allowed them to grow to such enormous sizes. The mouth of the Sarcosuchus had a rounded shape that allowed it to capture large fish, or to drag prey from the shore into the water. With more than 100 massive teeth and the monstrous power of its bite, which is estimated at between 33,000 and 44,000 pounds, gave Sarcosuchus a death grip, and it could easily bite in half any of its victims. Modern crocodiles tear their prey to pieces, spinning in the water. Sarcosuchus was not capable of performing this technique. He moved on 4 legs, and so he was mobile in the water, but quite slow on land. At best, he could perform short sprints for very short distances. Metaposaurus. Another fancier of fish, and in this sense, a competitor to super crocodiles, was Metaposaurus, a giant carnivorous amphibian with a wide and flat head, whose mouth was dotted with hundreds of teeth. His appearance resembles that of a salamander, and they are distantly related. The petrified remains of this creature can be found in Germany, Poland, North America, Africa, and India. The 2-meter-long Metaposaurus, with its poorly developed limbs, probably didn't spend too much time on land. It likely preferred its water habitat. It is considered the progenitor of most of our current amphibians, including frogs and newts. Their remains are usually found in the form of clusters of skeletons of large individuals that perished in drying reservoirs. It's likely that the adults of the species simply couldn't move across land, and therefore didn't even try to find their way to a neighboring lake or pond. Younger animals of the species are found in the coastal strips of water bodies. It's likely that up to a certain age they were more mobile than the adults. Paleontologists believe that the lifestyle of large individuals was spent as a kind of living trap. The Metaposaur lay hiding on the bottom of a body of water and performed a quick attack move when prey swam close. But there is an assumption that Metaposaurus could have been more active predators as well. This is indicated by the location of the eyes, suggesting a fairly accurate ability to estimate distance. Metaposaurus disappeared during a major extinction event which occurred about 201 million years ago. It affected many animals, including large amphibians, which opened the way for dinosaurs to dominate the planet. Megatherium. Megatherium, the giant ground sloth, is the ancestor of the armadillo, the anteater, and the modern sloth, and was about the size of an elephant. They were one of the largest terrestrial animals, and their body length reached 236 inches or 6 meters, and their weight was as much as 8,800 pounds or 4 tons. They moved mainly on their hind legs, using their tail for additional support. These giant sloths lived mainly in what is now North America. Their earliest remains are dated to about 5 million years ago, and the last of these beasts probably heard human speech, for they disappeared just 11,000 years ago. The animals were most likely very strong, but they were slow. Their skeleton was very tough. It's assumed that the giant sloths could pick leaves from trees, having paws with claws 1.5 meters long, and very well adapted for such foraging. Few animals could reach as high as a sloth. A swipe of such a paw could easily kill an animal, and the shape of their elbows speaks of an ability to swing and jab quickly. It's possible that the Megatherium ate meat, or maybe their front paws were used just for fighting. Phorusrhacids, or the terror birds. Modern African ostriches reach over 2.5 meters or 106 inches high and can run at speeds of between 37 to 43 miles per hour, but they are unlikely to surprise a person like you or me. But a giant bird of prey capable of swallowing a medium-sized dog, that perhaps inspires some fear. The oldest remains of the Phorusrhacids, nicknamed the terror bird, date back 60 million years, and the last skeleton about 2 million. Previously, it was believed that these birds went extinct because of man. Modern theory says they died out before the appearance of human beings. The terror birds didn't fly, but ran at speeds of up to 31 miles per hour, with a height of as much as 118 inches. That's 3 meters. Prey could not escape. There are suggestions that the Phorusrhacids were good runners, as long as they were going in a straight line, but it is surmised that they lost much of their speed when turning, which gave a greater chance of survival to small, dashing prey. A long, curved beak, similar to the beaks of modern winged predators, helped to tear the flesh of its victims. It's impossible to crush prey much with such a beak, but it is very useful for striking powerful blows. And it's also quite possible that the Phorusrhacids enjoyed dining on carrion. The largest skull that has been found from among this family of giant birds was 29.5 inches, or about 75 centimeters in length. Phorusrhacids are found in South and North America, a rare example of the migration of a South American species to the north after the formation of the Panama Isthmus. Their closest contemporary relatives are South American birds of the Cariamidae family, whose height reaches 35 inches or 90 centimeters. Agorocassis. The length of a modern shrimp can reach 11.8 inches. Not too shabby, but 480 million years ago, in our ancient seas, there was a shrimp 78 inches long, Agorocassis. We don't know exactly what it tasted like, but scientists have learned quite a lot about its appearance and internal structure. Like a modern whale, it sieved plankton from the water, but used mesh sprouts on its head to do this. Agorocassis was not afraid of competitors. The rest of her kind, now completely extinct, were mostly predators, and more species of plankton filled the seas. The structure of its body is so unusual that, until 1985, paleontologists generally believed that the torso was that of a sea cucumber. Its oral appendages with its teeth were thought to belong to jellyfish, and the appendages on their heads, shrimps. The scientific adventure of the Agorocassis did not end there. For quite some time, paleontologists, relying on incomplete prints and fossils, thought that the animal had one pair of flexible blades on each side for each segment of its body. It turned out that on each segment of this huge body there were 2 pairs of such blades, and they correspond to the upper and lower limb elements of modern arthropods, now represented by insects, spiders, and crustaceans. And in some species, the paired lobes fused. This is what allowed the Agirocassis to be called an ancient arthropod. It is very likely that the study of this ancient creature will help us understand how limbs developed in representatives of this family. The sea scorpion. The sea scorpion can scare anyone with its appearance. Its body was 79 inches or 2 meters in length and calls to mind both a spider and a crab. It probably preferred fresh water, so 390 million years ago it could be found on the bottom of a river or a lake and primarily dined on fish. Its dimensions were determined by the discovery of a petrified claw with a length of 18 inches, almost half a meter, discovered during excavations in Germany near the town of Prüm. Some researchers believe that such a length is a consequence of the then different composition of the atmosphere, containing 35% oxygen and not 21% as it is today. Their opponents believe that these maximum dimensions were determined by other factors, such as the mechanical properties of the exoskeleton, the movement of the body in space, breathing, and especially the energy costs of molting. Additionally, it may be because of the small number of predators, including predator fish, that lived in the area. Titanoboa. An enormous snake, Titanoboa, appeared on this planet 60 million years ago, after the extinction of the dinosaurs. The length of her body reached 46 feet, that's 14 meters, and her weight exceeded 1 ton. The petrified remains of one specimen were found in a coal mine in Colombia in 2009. Titanoboa strangled its prey just like its current relatives, boas and anacondas, but the largest of today's snakes are less than half the size. Her prey could even be such large beasts as crocodiles. It's likely that a snake of this size could maintain an acceptable body temperature only because the climate was warmer. Scientists argue over exactly how warm it was. According to one estimate, in the ancient tropics, the average temperature would need to be at least 90 degrees Fahrenheit, about 32 degrees Celsius. Otherwise, this colossal snake would not be able to stay warm. Another estimate believes it would need to be 39 to 43 degrees colder, or the enormous serpent would overheat. Titanoboa was the largest land predator for over 10 million years and is the largest snake ever to be found on our planet. For comparison, the longest current snake is a python about 12 meters long. This particular individual lives in captivity in a Japanese zoo. Wild specimens are normally not larger than 10 meters long, and the heaviest anaconda ever found weighed less than 500 pounds, or about 226 kilograms. Megalodon. Megalodon is a giant shark, markedly larger than the size of a modern great white, that plowed the prehistoric seas and oceans. It was, get this, 30 times heavier than a great white. The remains found of Megalodon are dated from between 15.9 to 2.6 million years ago, although there is information about other discoveries with somewhat ambiguous dating. To establish the exact dimensions of Megalodon is rather difficult. Like all sharks, they were cartilaginous fish, and cartilage decomposes much more easily than bone, so there are very few petrified remains. Basically, scientists find well-mineralized fragments of the spine and ancient shark teeth of up to 7 inches or 18 centimeters long, hence the name Megalodon, which in Greek means huge tooth. In the mouth of this megabeast, there are 276 teeth in 5 rows, located in a jaw 2 meters wide. That's about 80 inches. The jaws could squeeze their prey with twice the force of a modern shark. Thus, Megalodon, due to its size, had one of the strongest bites ever known to science. According to calculations, the length of a large megalodon was not less than 16 meters, and the weight of such an individual is estimated at 47 tons. For comparison, the length of the largest modern fish, a large great white shark, does not exceed 12 meters. Megalodon teeth deserve special attention. They are relatively thin, but incredibly strong. They can bend and have deep, large roots and serrated cutting edges. With these teeth, you can cut or chomp through just about anything, including the vertebrae and ribs of large animals. Giant fish, including Megalodon, can never be the fastest swimmers. As their size increases, the body volume grows faster than the surface area, so large fish face the problem of gas exchange. Megalodon probably had a slow metabolism, and it's unlikely that this giant was warm-blooded. Most likely, he attacked his prey ambush-style and rammed it with tremendous force. This was instead of active pursuit, which requires much more speed and endurance. Many paleontologists believe that Megalodon was a super predator who hunted not only fish but also relatively large animals. A large number of whale bones have been found with clear, deep scratches apparently left by Megalodon bites, and even Megalodon teeth have been found stuck in these bones. Perhaps Megalodon tried to kill small prey by breaking through their chest, with large bites for flippers. There is, however, another view, that Megalodons were rather scavengers, and these traces of teeth were left not during the struggle, but after the death of the victims. With the cooling of the Earth, the shallow seas on the shelf disappeared. The currents changed, the ocean became colder, and this affected the food base of the Megalodons. In addition, there were newer, successful competitors, the ancestors of modern killer whales. The concurrence of these and other factors led to the extinction of the sea giants. They survived the longest in the southern hemisphere. After Megalodon, whales became the largest of the water inhabitants. What will be if we wrap you round and round with Scotch tape? Throw the whole package into a microwave oven. Roast it quite well. Feed that to a giant hungry whale. After that, drown you in the ocean. Then bury you alive, send you into space, then let you drop back down to Earth straight to the bottom of the Mariana Trench. After that, take you out and dry you under a nice warm lightning storm. Dress you up, comb you out, stick you on a plane, climb to a height of 30,000 feet, and toss you out once more, where you plummet back down to the unyielding surface. Of course, without a parachute. What will happen then? Let's ask Arnold. How are you feeling, buddy? You still on your feet? Well then, how about this? There's no time to explain. Just click on the link in the description and watch the first episode in this awesomely great new cartoon series, soon to explode across the entire damn internet. Come on, press the button. You can't resist subscribing to this channel.